DDG episode 191. My name is Dave, and I'm joined by Michael.
How's it going? I'm used to you saying last names, Dave. You threw me off a little bit.
We talked about this like 2 weeks ago already.
I know. I'm still not getting used to it because Dave, 180 episodes of you saying.
Do you like the last name, or do you want the last name?
I don't know, Dave. I don't know. But we're also recording right now, so
it's a democracy. I mean, you can make your vote.
I guess so, but we can split the votes every time. It doesn't really work out. No, I'm doing good, Dave. Doing good. Little tired. A lot of work this week. It just kind of feels like because summer's almost over, seems like everyone is like piling the work on. I don't know how it feels for you, but it feels like there's like a rush to just get stuff done before, I don't know, people go back to school and
everything feels easier right now, like as I'm getting more comfortable in my store.
Oh god, yeah, no, mine just feels like everyone's just like, no, Labor Day weekend's coming up, gotta get my shit in and ignore everything afterwards. So
yeah, but you're in this like I don't know exactly, like you're in this like kind of corporate-esque world now. Like, do you have a long weekend coming up?
Full on sellout corporate world I am currently in. So
I'm not trying to indulge your information, but like, are you leaving work at like 1 o'clock on Friday and not going back until like Tuesday morning?
So my work does have like half days on Friday.
Okay.
Luckily I'm not on call this weekend because we do like on call shifts. Yeah. Like I do on call like once every 2 months. But yeah, I do have a 3-day weekend, but because of that, it seems like everyone is like trying to get whatever work they can in, so
they want their plate as clean as possible, so when they come to work on Tuesday and they forget their password, that's the worst thing that happens.
Yeah, exactly. If they come into work Tuesday, because a lot of people are saving their time off. So I'm just dealing with chaos, but I squeezed in a decent amount of video game time in between that chaos.
All right, so we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that posts every Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern Time. We stream our podcast recording as well, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming. That can be, depending on schedules, that can be Monday night, Tuesday night, or Wednesday night. So I'm not going to commit to any of those times. Other than
mostly Tuesday, Wednesday. That seems Monday's rare unless there's an event.
What I can promise you is that at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, the episode is on podcast services on Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern. Yep, no matter what. She doesn't. She wakes up at like 5 in the morning, just uncharacteristically, but then she still makes sure that she gets the show posted. Might be like 6:12, might be the latest. But other than that, she does a fantastic job of taking care of that. She truly enjoys editing, and she's been doing some schoolwork, and she actually had to use like OBS and all the stuff that she's been working with, and it made everything way easier, and everybody was jealous of her microphone. or my microphone. So, all right, so there are a bunch of links in the show notes that you can check out to join the community or to support us. Following on Twitch is free. Following us on social media is free. Joining our Discord server is free. You can subscribe to us on Twitch if you choose. You can link your Amazon account and your Twitch account for all that fun stuff, and you can use a Twitch subscription that way, or you can just pay to sub if you choose. But as always, downloading, sharing, reviewing, those are the things that are free. They don't cost any money. They cost you 30 seconds of time to do. But if you're willing to share the show or review the show or even just subscribe or follow, like those are all the most helpful ways to help us continue to grow. And we've got some news to kick it off right away already. So.
Yeah. So the news, it's not going to be the best news. I was not happy about this, especially when I saw the price jump that we're getting. But PlayStation Plus is increasing all the tiers pricing for 1-year subscriptions starting next month. So I brought this backwards for Dave, but the current prices are for Essential $59, Extra $99, and Premiums $120. The new pricing is going to be Essential is now $79.99. Extra is $134, and Premium is $159. So it varies region to region, but basically some tiers have gone up 35%. This isn't unheard of. Like, every subscription service right now is raising up prices, but it's mostly been like $1 here, $1 there. I think Xbox, they did like $1 increase for their lower tiers, and then their higher tiers for Game Pass went up $2.
They eliminated tiers too, though.
Yeah, like they got rid of Xbox Live, and then basically made like a basic Game Pass thing. But they increased that price for $1. The tier that they replaced. So we've been seeing a lot of services increasing prices, but this is a huge jump. This is a $20 jump. They did announce like a pretty good PlayStation Plus lineup for this upcoming month, depending on who you are. Saints Row, Black Desert, Traveler Edition, and then Generation Zero. So kind of solid month, I would hope.
Is that for Essential?
Yes, that's for Essential.
Okay. Because there are 3 issues that I currently have with PS Plus right now. Number 1, it is very confusing on what's on what tier. Very confusing. Because, like, I'll use Sea of Stars as an example. You read articles about Sea of Stars, and it says, Sea of Stars coming to PS Plus. That's all it says.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's the higher tier. So the
or the middle tier.
Middle tier, so extra, yeah. And then, so pretty much all you get with premium, I guess I have 4 problems. All you get with premium is a bunch of old shit, like old games.
And here's my thing.
And that's fine. Like, those are, if you like to play those games, that's fine. And I know you sort of like that. But
I think they've done a piss poor job at providing stuff to that tier.
So that would be problem 2, is that the 3rd tier is lackluster. Another problem I have with this is there are no monthly payment options. No monthly that I've seen so far. Now, maybe with this price increase, there might be stuff, but everything that you're talking about has always been a year. We had this conversation when they rolled out the tiers, and they still weren't offering a monthly option. Even if that monthly option ends up being more in the long run, it's still a better, $159 to swallow at one time is harder than $20 a month, $15 a month.
They do still have the 1 month and 3 month plans that you can get for these tiers, but they didn't. But
they don't have a reoccurring, like, you're gonna take $13.99 out of my account on the 5th of every month.
If you do a 1 month, when it renews, it does a year. You can't just keep stacking 1 month. And we don't know what that price is going to be for those other months, because you get a discount by doing the 1 year subscription. So
and I'm all for. I'm telling you right now, before anybody comes at me, like, I haven't broken this down, but I mean, at $15 a month for Game Pass Ultimate, it's $180. So like $13 a month would be pretty close to this. Just rough. I'm not even busting out my calculator because I mess that up all the time, anyways. Now the 4th problem and the biggest problem I have now is now you can truly compare PS Plus Premium to Game Pass, because there is a $20 a year price difference. $20. And whether you like the library or don't like the library that Game Pass offers and PS Plus Premium offers, to me, hand over fist, 100 out of 100 times, the $20 extra is worth it, because when I watch an Xbox event, 90% of what I see on an Xbox event is on Game Pass.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree with you. Like, right now, since the prices now are closer, you can compare them. And honestly, like, I don't mind that they increased premium if it means they're going to step up, but they haven't really shown any capability so far that they are going to step up. And plus, extra, I think at $79, I think I'm more upset at the Essential tier.
I am more upset, like, because for me right now, when I read this today, like, I am contemplating it. My Angela looked today before we recorded. My subscription ends in May of next year, so I just re-upped. Fine, I'm not really affected by this because
I'm January and I'm
right, but I am running out of reasons to keep Plus. Like, I am genuinely running. And somebody's like, "Oh, what about Destiny?" I can play it on PC. I can jump in Discord. I can play with my PlayStation friends. It's over. Like, the stuff. I can't remember the last PS Plus Essential game that I wanted to play that came out, and I'm like, cool, I'm downloading that, I'm playing it. It's almost like a chore. Like, with I get the little pop-up notification when I turn my PlayStation on that says, hey, there's new Plus games. I'm like, okay, click free, no, upgrade, no, click, oh, upgrade, no, oh, that one's free. It's confusing as hell, and I hate it. And I know that I play Destiny a lot, and I've been playing on PlayStation. I own Lightfall, the most recent expansion, on PC. I double dipped on that for this exact reason, as I'm starting this transition. And I could totally see, like, what we've been talking about is, like, PlayStation 5 will just be my exclusive machine, and my exclusive machine is God of War, Horizon, Uncharted, Ratchet, Spider-Man. I don't need an online connection. I don't like, why? Like, what do I need Plus for?
It's not like your friendship or your friend list goes away or anything like that. You'll still be able to message your friends. You just can't.
And I can just send them a Discord link that says, here, join DDG, And
this is the first time, like, I've been PS Plus since day one.
Yeah.
Like,
I understand I lose access to all that stuff I had. But even Angela was like, hey, Owen plays Plus games. I'm like, what? And she's like, well, knack. I go, I own it. She goes,
No,
Spider-Man
no,
games.
and
I own
that's
them.
what I was going to get to.
Yeah.
Like, I've been PS Plus since day one, and like I already am at the point where like I was questioning whether I should continue it at $60 because I just don't really I don't play online. I don't play online games, and PlayStation hasn't really shown that many online games, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, I want to do that. They have 12 coming within the next couple of years apparently, and maybe that'll change my mind.
On PC.
Potentially. We don't quite know.
These games as a service have to be on PC.
They have to be. They have to be, but like honestly, if PlayStation would make it exclusive, it wouldn't be the most surprising thing. You'd have to admit, it would be a mistake.
Okay. Yeah, okay,
but
yeah, all right. Yeah. If they want them to
you.
fail, sure.
Yes.
But if they want them to be the creme de la creme and compete with the Fortnites of the world, or to be in the to step on the same continent as Fortnite.
Yes, I completely agree. They need to be on PC as well, but realistically, there's part of you that feels like it probably could be exclusive.
I understand.
And now I'm looking at Plus at just that extra $20 of just like, I can't tell you the last time I played an essential PS Plus game.
Mm-hmm.
I did play, like Stray on that extra tier when that came out last year, and I enjoyed it, but I would have saved more money if I just bought Stray at $30 than spending $120 that I spent.
And again, everybody's going to roll their eyes and say, okay, right now, within the next 20 days, off the top of my head, Sea of Stars, Starfield, Payday 3. Those are all coming to Game Pass.
And then Forza in October.
I'm just talking. I'm not even really getting like those aren't. Starfield's first party. So 2 out of the 3 I just listed aren't even first party, and those are games that are piquing my interest enough that make me want to play them, to make me want to check them out. There is enough value in those 3 things that I just said right there. Even if you round them down to $50 a game, there's enough value there. That doesn't, like MLB The Show was on there this year. Ravenlock that I still haven't even played, but it's on my list and it's there. Like there are multiple games that that I'm playing, and I'm not digging into like I don't think Ravenlock's on PS Plus. I don't know on any of these, but all I know is that it's getting really interesting to where a year ago or 18 months ago, Sony's like, we're against subscription services. They don't work for us. They don't do this stuff. And now they've redone their tiers, and now they've redone their prices. And it's, people are talking about on the heels of all these games as a service is being announced. Like, I wonder if there is either it's one of 2 things. Either they're very comfortable with the number of subscriptions they have to the point where they feel like they're okay losing them, or they are not they are losing them now, and they're trying to bolster it, and the way they feel like they can bolster it is to raise the price. But when you raise the price, you have to come with some content, and I'm not seeing the content yet.
And hopefully there's something, but I think you would have announced it, like announcing this with Saints Row. Like the Saints Row game did not do well. Like it's the news was put in the same article as this announcement, and I really think you should have like
$80 a year for online play and a couple throwaway games is shittier than Games with Gold currently. The Games with Gold was.
Wait, can you repeat that? Sorry.
$80 for online play and shoveled games per year is right now is worse than what Games with Gold was 6 months ago, 8 months ago. It's worse because it's more expensive.
It's more expensive. It's 20. I don't know if I would go that far, Dave. I see where you're going with that, but like Games with Gold's quality of games was like
what's PS Plus Essentials quality of game the last 6 months?
Well, I can pull that up actually. We'll pull that up just to be sure, because like right now I'm just shitting on Saints Row because that game was bad. So let me see if I can find. So July was Black Ops Cold War. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Alan Wake Remastered. Not bad. Let me see if I can load some more. April's kind of weak. It was Meet Your Maker, Sackboy's Big Adventure. That's fine. March was Minecraft Dungeons, Code Vein, Battlefield 2042. So I would say there's a little bit of a quality.
On Essential.
Yes, on Essential.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would say like they're on like a every other month sort of thing where it's like, okay, now I'm okay with those.
For the record, EA went to Sony for that. They needed the players.
Oh yeah, they needed.
Sony didn't go to EA.
Yeah. But January was Fallen Order, Fallout 76, Axiom Verge 2. So I would say the thing that you said will be very much a factor in my thoughts going forward at $80.
So, and again, like I guess, like, Games with Gold trickled it out too. I understand that, but at least with Game Pass, and you subscribe to Game Pass today, you get everything that's there, everything
except for that new tier, that one tier you only get 25 games.
Right. I mean, okay, fine. You Game Pass. Okay, Game Pass Ultimate at $180.
Yes. You
get everything.
Yeah.
Including the ability to play on your phone or over cloud, however you choose.
And PC, just straight up PC.
Yep. I'm removing the PC aspect from it. Just for this point, you sign up for PS Plus Premium today, and I mean, what you get is there 100 games on there right now?
I mean, yeah, there's a couple hundred that are basically part of that extra tier in terms of the classics that you're getting as a bonus. If you count the PS3 streaming games, yes, there's over 100, but you're streaming those PS3 games.
Yeah,
in terms of like PS1, PS2 classics, it's less than 50. I would have to look.
And it's really okay. So, I mean,
and it's also if you go to the store, it doesn't really surface that stuff.
Yeah,
well.
that's right. I just found something out. So PS5 game library, PS Plus extras and premium. I'm gonna read super fast, so I'm sorry. Alex Kidd in the Miracle World DX, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Assetto Corsi Racing, Back for Blood, Bassmasters Fishing, Ben 10 Power Trip, Bug Snack, Bug Simulator, Chikari, A Colorful Tale, Chorus.
Going through the whole.
Well, I'm looking. Like Far Cry 6 is on there. I mean, I don't know the number. Like, I don't know if this gives me. It's because they're breaking it down to like PS4 games. I mean, like, just as an example, and I understand, like, and this just sparked in my head when I'm scrolling through this list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 12, 13. Yeah, 13 things are Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't. There's a lot. Okay, there's a lot more on here than I thought, but I'm sorry. Like, first party day and date is just a.
Well, no, and that's the thing that's ultimately going to make the big difference between this of just not being able to get like
7 Final Fantasies.
Yeah, the idea that you're not going to get like first party games in a timely manner is the thing that's ultimately.
Well, here's the deal:
suck.
Like, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. Haven't played it. Heard it's fantastic. Potentially, it was a Game of the Year contender in the year it came out. Awesome. How long is it going to be there for?
And that's the problem again that we're going with the PlayStation stuff is we don't know. First party stuff has come in and out of the service before.
How many first party games has Microsoft pulled?
For a couple Forza games, but that's licensing reasons. But yeah, I think as far as I know, like 3 Forza games.
Yeah.
But
if you had to bet money right now, when are you betting that Starfield is removed from Game Pass?
It won't be. It's gonna always be there. Yeah.
Unless
they have a licensed song. Like that seems to be the only thing that messes up Game Pass is licensed music.
Hellblade. How long is Hellblade gonna be on there for?
It'll be on there forever. Though the first one I could see there being issues because someone else published that. But
yeah. All right, Hellblade 2. Sorry.
Yeah, Hellblade 2 will be there forever because that will be officially theirs.
I get it. Like, I mean, from the business standpoint, I understand what Sony's doing. It's expensive. Servers are expensive. This stuff costs money, and getting these, getting the better games, they're realizing it's costing them money. But I also think that they're looking at how much money they're getting in and going, oh, how much more can we get? Like, it's hard to say. Is it better to sell 2 things at $100 and get 2 customers at $100, or is it better to sell 4 customers at $60? Like, is having 4 people, like, I don't know. Like some people will say, I want the $200. Some people will say, well, I want the 4 people because that 160 could potentially turn into more. Like, it's so hard to decide and to decipher what works and what doesn't work. But at its core right now, $80 a year to play online is, I mean, it's cheaper than whatever the Game Pass thing is, like the $10 Game Pass gimped version or whatever that is that they have.
Yeah, I forget what it's even called. But I
$6.66 a month. Okay.
Yeah.
Why can't this be $8 a month and let me pay $8 a month?
This is like, I'm just so annoyed by the price increase in general. for it, because it sucks. Because like Dave, I don't know how many things you subscribe to, but I've got an email from like every subscription service that I have that shit's going up, like $1 here, $1 there, and I'm fine. I understand that's how things work. You know, companies are always increase their prices, but like this is a big jump to do, and all you announce with this is, hey, we're gonna have that Saints Row game that no one really liked.
Just like, give me a reason to give them $80 in 12 months in May of next year. Like right now, Michael, give me the reason to do it.
No, and I think this was a messaging problem just overall at PS Plus. Remember when they first rolled out these 3 tiers?
Yeah.
They were like, we'll tell you what's coming later, but subscribe now, sort of thing. And it was like, no, this is stupid. And like, if you're gonna increase premium to $160, you better tell me there's some cool classic shit. You better have told me that you figured out what's wrong with the PS2 classics, which is why you stopped doing PS2 classics, because they did, you know, like I forgot what game was bugged. So then it was like, oh, we're just going to focus on like PS1 games and PSP games. It's like, what happened to the PS2 games? Like, are you going to work on that, you know, fabled PS3 backwards compatibility finally? Like, you got to give me some incentive to throw in $160.
I agree with you. The classic stuff is cool, but the normal guy's not going. Girl person is not going to buy a PS5 and go, dude, I can't wait to play Twisted Metal Black.
But the thing is, the premium tier is for that person.
I know.
The premium tier is for that person, and they are not catering to that person. For the average consumer, that essential tier, that extra tier, is the 2 main tiers. But the idea that they have this 3rd tier that's asking for so much money, and they're not even catering to that audience, is baffling to me. I think the premium tier shouldn't exist.
I just look at it from my retail background, and you got a customer looking at a $500 Xbox X, you got a customer looking at a $500 PS5, and you talk about subscription services. Like, I'm sorry, like the better bang for the buck and the better value for somebody that wants to have a console game library is Xbox right now. Like,
yeah,
in terms of if you don't want to buy a game to stick in your console.
Yeah, like
it, and that you're gonna start, if they don't fix this problem, and it's a problem, you're going to see it's going to take about 6 months. Spider-Man's is not going to save PlayStation, but is going to help PlayStation this holiday season because it's Spider-Man. But January, February, March, you're going to start to see the hardware sales change. Is presuming that they can keep up with the Game Pass content, and assuming that Starfield is good and that Sony stays on this. I'm not saying it's going to like go in Xbox's favor, but you're going to see it start to alter slowly over time.
Maybe really slow. I don't see PlayStation losing any sort of grip on it because Xbox is where they're at, and also I think people are kind of entrenched. But I do see a lack of growth from this. I don't see them losing traction.
I feel like that entrenchment is starting to become fractured as Discord is working and crossplay is becoming more of a thing. Like every game that comes out, it's to the point now where people aren't surprised that something has crossplay. They're annoyed that it doesn't. Yeah,
that's the thing that like it might take a generation for that to show its head, you know, to like actually pop up and become a reality. But what I think you will see is, and I think PlayStation said like they're no longer going to be sharing like subscriber numbers with this stuff in like a previous story. I see this being like the end of premium. Like I feel like you're going to get a lot of people that are going to shed from premium and drop down to the extra tier. Honestly, I would have been fine if PlayStation like kept the essential tier the same and said like, hey, we're just not going to do games anymore on this. You know, like we're going to keep it at 60 and we're going to drop
$60
games from
to
this.
pay online.
Yeah. And then we're, you know, get plus, you know, or get extra if you want games. I think that would have almost been a better move. It would have been a Band-Aid that they need to rip off, but instead they're just kind of ripping off.
But I had this mindset for a while. Like I got to keep plus. Like obviously I need to play online, and I was Destiny. I played online a lot, and I still play online and all that stuff. And I'm, you know, like playing on the PC is better. Because I have invested in a better PC. Like I'm aware of that. I'm in a better financial situation. I'm not disputing any of those claims when I say this, but it's becoming less and less, you know, necessary for me to have plus. Like I'm not going back and playing a plus game they gave me 6 years ago. Like the library is that I have, that the ability of stuff that I have to download is ridiculous. Like my son, when he's at home for a couple days, or at off work for a couple days, and he texted me or messaged me about a game to play, I'm like, dude, just look. I go, there's hundreds of games on there. Pick something. Like like that's and I'll lose access to that. But am I really going to be hurting? No, I don't. I barely I haven't gone back to Atlas Fallen, and it's been 14 days.
Yeah, no, it's one of the things where like I was one of those people for years that was like, okay, I need to add these games to my library because I might come back to them. But then as I get older, I'm like, I'm never coming back to most of these. Mm-hmm. I have some physical games that I keep buying and I need to get to before I go back to my digital license.
You have plenty of other things to finger through before you start tabbing through your digital library.
Yeah, and will it be
fine.
Annoying?
It's a business. Like, I get it. I'm not trying to just shit on PS Plus, but I'm just having a hard time justifying it. And I would have to look again in terms of like the number of Xbox first party games that came out this year, but it's more than $180. It is.
But I also think we are going to hit a point with Game Pass.
Yeah.
With the prices increasing, that we're gonna like I didn't re-up Game Pass, for like a full year or anything like that. I've been doing like 3-month increments here and there when I find a deal. Like I don't mind Game Pass lapsing. Like I went without Game Pass for like 2 months at one point, and I have no problem with that. PlayStation literally did feel essential. PlayStation Plus,
but a game like Starfield will be like, hey, I need to at least buy a month.
Yeah,
a game like Starfield for you.
I did a 3-month re-up for Starfield.
What is on PS Plus's any of PS Plus's lineups that's like I need to pay for that in a year because I can't buy a month.
Unfortunately, there isn't anything. I mean, you can buy a month, but I just don't know what the price is for the new one.
Well, can you though? With the price increase, the cards got to come off. They got to go through that crap again. Like they got to pull the cards, right?
Yeah,
like,
they're gonna have to pull the cards again. Yeah, which I'm so glad I don't work Target or Best Buy anymore.
No, but I'm just I don't know. I haven't bought a PS Plus card. Maybe it's just a card that says PS Plus, and you go up there and scan it, and it's got a price tag on it now. Like it's just like you know what I'm saying. There's no embedded price on the card, and there's like the little label, like the price change label in front of it.
I want to say they got rid of PlayStation specific or PS Plus specific cards now. Now you can only get the $2,500.
You might be right.
But now they need $100.
Now you can only buy PS dollars.
Yeah, now they need a $200 card or a $180 card. Like they need that.
No, it'll be a $200 card because they're going to be just as sleazy as every other company and make it so you have a $20 sitting in your wallet.
Yeah, no, and like that's where they're going to have to.
Or $180. That's why you said 180. Yeah. Sorry, I got the numbers confused.
Yeah, but like they're going to have those, and if you buy a $200 card in Chicago, they tax plus, so it's it's gonna be like
you're funny. Like every time you say that, it reminds me because you'll message me, "Hey man, can you buy this game on the DDG account?" I'm like, "Yeah, you have access to it." He's like, "Dude, it's cheaper for you."
Yeah, it's like it saves us like $3, and it's worth it. It's just like, dude,
I'm just like, huh? And you're like, dude, it's Chicago taxes. Like, I don't. Just
like
please, can you just purchase
tax,
it?
We have the entertainment tax. We have the online tax. It's just like, dude, just bite. Give me that Detroit. Give me that Michigan tax.
6% on everything. Potholes be damned. 6% on everything.
Yeah. Over here it's 11 something, and it doesn't include the entertainment tax. This has got me questioning whether if I let Plus lapse for the first time.
Legitimately,
in over 10 years.
Question for the community. Put it on Facebook. Put it on Discord. Outside of online play, give me 3 games in the last 6 months that you have actively played on PlayStation Plus.
Actively played. Don't just be like,
I downloaded Control.
Yeah.
I'm talking about something like all you trophy whores, go back and look at your trophies for the year of 2023 and tell me a game that you have used through PS Plus, any tier. I don't care. I want 3 games, and if you and put them in Discord, put them on Facebook, tweet them at me. Twitter DMing me if you don't want to be like publicly shamed. I don't care. Send them to me, like Twitter DM, Discord DM, all of the above. Let me see it.
Yeah. Show us that. Show us you beat that game, or you
I don't even care if you beat it. Don't show me a trophy. Don't show me a trophy that says you pressed X.
Well, I do think there's probably a lot of people that do download games. They start them for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But I want to know how many people actually
show me a trophy that said unlocked
50%.
50% of the abilities or something. Even I'll give you that. Cleared the first world tier. I don't even know. Like,
yeah. I would be interested to see that too. So send that info to us. We'll move on to the next story, which isn't much better news. BioWare's Dragon Age struggles continue. So last week, BioWare announced that they would be laying off over 50 employees. Sounds like that's about 10% of its workforce. These layoffs include veterans of the studio that have been there for a while through the Dragon Age series and beyond. According to Jeff Grubb, Dragon Age Dreadwolf has been delayed internally again, and this has happened apparently several times. It is now expected to release at the earliest summer 2024, but it could slip into winter 2024 or potentially early 2025. The original goal internally was spring 2024, and that was the latest internal date because it was supposed to come out in 2023. After the layoffs were reported, it was also reported that BioWare were pulling staff from the next Mass Effect game to get on Dreadwolf and hopefully get it out, which then means Mass Effect, the next one, is also probably going to be delayed internally because they had to pull that staff. Yeah, man, I'm a Dragon Age fan. I'm a BioWare fan. This is shitty news, but it's not surprising, Dave.
They can't afford another Anthem. They legitimately cannot afford another Anthem. Like, this Dragon Age has to be good. Yeah, I mean, they're in trouble. Like, we're talking about 5 to 7 years now of them not putting out solid content. Like, it's getting
and I don't count the Mass Effect trilogy because that was a remake that they worked on. So I mean, Andromeda
got better over time, but was a nightmare at launch. Yeah. Anthem is just broken.
Yeah,
just done. Anthem's not even. And we've talked about this a couple times. Like, how long until? I mean, I'm not a Dragon Age guy, so I'm genuinely asking this question to you. How long do you feel until you start to age out of Dragon Age? A little bit,
as someone who's a Kingdom Hearts fan and waited 10 plus years for the third game to come out, I have patience, but the thing that worries me is when you fire veterans of the series, and I start to question what am I going to be playing? What am I going to be enjoying when Dreadwolf comes out if so many of the core team have been fired? And if you've been following BioWare, they've literally fired and hired the same people multiple times over the course of the development for Dreadwolf.
I mean, do you remember when the Inquisition came out?
2013, 2014?
2014, correct, yeah.
Yeah. And Andromeda was 2017? 2016?
Just say it, though. You're talking 11, almost 12 years?
Yeah.
That between Dragon Age games? I mean, you're talking about somebody playing it. If they played it when they got their license, they're 30 and they have kids now.
Yeah, but it's not unheard of for
I know. It is getting more unheard of with these large gaps. A decade is a lot between series.
Yeah, but that happened with Kingdom Hearts. It was 12 years, I believe. Diablo, I think.
But wasn't
Diablo
there some other stuff in there though? There was other Kingdom Hearts things in there.
There was, but in terms of the thing people were waiting for. But if you look at Diablo 2 came out in 2001, and then Diablo 3 was 2012, I think. So there's been gaps between sequels, and then it's been 10 years since Diablo 3 and Diablo 4. Minus an expansion. So there's been huge gaps before. But as someone who follows BioWare,
yeah, okay, but yeah, I'm really not trying to be this guy, but yeah. Diablo 2, Diablo 3 were kind of service games. Continuously, you had reasons to continuously play. For the most part, my understanding is, and obviously I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, Dragon Age potentially is a one and done.
It's a one and done, but part of the reason, which I was going to get to, that it's been taking so long is because EA doesn't know what they want. Yeah. So on and off the table,
EA doesn't want a one and done. BioWare wants a one and done. EA wants both a one and done and a service at the same time, and BioWare is like, fuck you.
Yeah. Like, and that's not what we're known for. Like, we did one MMO, but that's it. And since Inquisition, there have been multiple, like, I know people that did focus groups for the Destiny version of Dragon Age that EA was pitching like 2 years after Inquisition came out, that apparently has been off the table, on the table, off the table, on the table over the last 10 years. And when you look at just like how BioWare has been hiring, they literally fire the Dragon Age writers and producers, and then they hire them 2 years later and are like, oh my god, can you save Dragon Age Dreadwolf? And then they fire them, and then they hire them. And it's
unfortunately, the track record of bringing the Halo guy back to fix Halo didn't work either.
Yeah, and that's kind of where Dragon Age has been with Dreadwolf, of just like, they fire the people, put new people in charge, and then the next person that gets in that spot throws everything out the window, and then you're just in a cycle.
How much pressure is this group of people under to make a Dragon Age game instead of just making a open world a third-person action adventure game that's not called Dragon Age?
There's probably a great amount of pressure, especially when you look at the fandom for Dragon Age, for BioWare in general. Like, BioWare is one of the few studios that there are BioWare fans. There's probably more BioWare fans than Dragon Age fans, in terms of people will just play whatever that studio puts out. So there's immense pressure to, one, uphold the BioWare name, and two, uphold the Dragon Age name. And based on how often they're going through people, I don't know if they can achieve those goals. And then the idea that, like, hey, we're laying off 50 employees off the team, but then we're going to pull bodies from other projects just seems backwards.
Yeah, I'm just, like, the reason I was asking that, though, is because I looked at the team, like, the Callisto Protocol. Like, that was a whole bunch of Dead Space people, right? Whole bunch.
Yeah, a lot of visceral.
But it wasn't called Dead Space because it couldn't be, and I get it that it couldn't be. And if you really ask them, they probably would have loved for it to call it Dead Space Callisto Protocol or Dead Space Protocol or whatever. Like, that's what they would have wanted. But, like, at this point in time, like, is it almost better for them to, like, they can't now, but it would almost better for them to be like, hey, let's just do our, like, similar to what Mortal Kombat just did with Mortal Kombat 1. Blow it the hell up, start over, do whatever the hell you want. Yeah, it's a Mortal Kombat game, but we're gonna play the alternate dimension card. Like, don't call it Dragon Age, call it Age of Dragons. I don't know.
You know what's funny though is why all this is happening. Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out this upcoming weekend, and Baldur's Gate is originally a BioWare franchise. Yeah, and the people that are currently working on it at Larian Studio, some of them are from BioWare.
Yeah, so and then it's kind of the Callisto Protocol Dead Space thing, right?
Yeah, and then you have Nightingale, which is a new game coming out at early access next year. Looks pretty interesting. That's ex-BioWare people. There's a lot of people that have been fired from BioWare that are making BioWare-like experiences, or like Dragon Age-like experiences. That's fantastic. That's great. And EA right now is just like, Weekend and Bernie,
it's just
this franchise,
which is fascinating because the name's escaping me right now, but the Titanfall developer and the Star Wars Jedi developer Respawn is fantastic. Like,
and they're Infinity Ward, like, but you mean from EA?
Yeah. And I'm just like, what? Like, fix it. Like, let them be them. Stop it. Like, let them do what they want to do.
What I think what ultimately did it is, like, the people that were in charge of BioWare, the doctors, I can't think of their name, but they're both doctors. I think one of them does craft beer now. They pieced out around Mass Effect 3. They pieced out from the company, and apparently they needed that leadership because EA didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Afterwards,
I think we're going to hear a similar story from Rockstar. Because the two main founders are gone, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of time before we hear some just fucking chaos about GTA 6. Chaos.
And I think that's already started to kind of happen, but we just haven't had like the full of it. But yeah, like, and we know one of those founders is making like a GTA like game, so we'll see where that goes. But this sucks to see like a studio, but I'm trying not to get too like invested in it because I know I'm just invested in a name at this point.
Yeah.
It's just like when people were like, "Oh, how come Rare doesn't do Banjo-Kazooie?" It's just like the people that made Banjo-Kazooie, they left Rare decades ago. So like, you're just hoping the name of that studio makes a franchise that you like. It's not the people that were there. So like me being
if Corey Barlog's not working on next God of War, is it really God of War?
Yeah, you could look at it that way. Yeah,
it's just if Druckmann doesn't work on another Last of Us, is it really Last of Us?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like, yeah, and at this point, it's been several years since the BioWare people were on there. I know there are still some people at the BioWare team that are from the OG team, but like how game development is a team job thing, so you can't just be like, we got a couple of writers.
You brought it up, and we talked about it, like, and I don't know where it all came from, but like how much is this going to cost, and can we do it, and leave us alone and let us do it, and you get Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, like, and that hopefully was on the table at one point, but EA was just like, how about Destiny? And then
no, but I'm just saying, like, put somebody in charge of your studio and let them do their job. Say, hey, here's your budget. If you need more money, like, you have to come to us and you have to give us a valid reason for it. Here's your budget. And like at that point in time, if I'm a head of a studio, if you want to make me the head of a studio right now, and I think I can release a game in 6 years, I'm telling you 8.
Yeah, at this point you have to overshoot. The only problem is with EA is they're probably holding against them budget wise all of the things that they canceled. When they pushed, the Destiny clone Dragon Age game, and then when they post, it sounds like they were always
I'm sorry.
If
you want me to make the Dragon Age game that you want me to make a Dragon Age game that's going to sell 10 million copies, I need A, B, and C. And the last part of my contract, you need to leave me the hell alone.
Yeah, no, that's what it's going to come down to, and like. BioWare, they might have to rehire some BioWare people again, and they might be able to get that.
Yeah, and then if I'm the president of EA and I say no, I'm talking to you, I would expect you to get out of your chair and walk out the door and be like, well, I'm going to go to somebody else and I'm going to make something not called Dragon Age that is a Dragon Age game, and they're going to let me do it. Yeah,
and like I hope Nightingale is successful.
Yeah.
I hope it's as successful as Baldur Gate is, even though Baldur Gate's BioWare like history is like way in the past, like decades. But like the lineage is still there. So
it's like talking about Naughty Dog making Crash. Jack and Dexter.
Yeah, Jack and Dexter.
Jack and Dexter. Don't kill me.
Yeah. It's been a long day. It's when you're talking about that, but the fact that lineage is there has to be kicking EA in the ass a little bit of just like, fuck, if we just let them cook, like we would be okay. But no, we intervened, and now we have this thing that like EA basically is in the point that Activision was with Infinity Ward, where they wanted to kill Infinity Ward, but that name became too important, so they just had to like use it as a shell for other studios. And now EA can never announce that they're closing BioWare. Like they can't, even though essentially after Dread, they probably will, but they will keep the name around.
Yeah.
It's a messed up situation. Like, hopefully everyone, like, the 50 people that got laid off, hopefully they join.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah,
well-managed studios, or they form their own studios and we get a bunch of different cool content from it. Because that usually what
sucks that anybody loses their job. Like, that's awful.
Yeah, but EA has no idea what they're doing. I mean, we never talked about it, but EA basically has split their company. Basically, it seems like they're getting ready to like separate some of their assets in terms of like, here's sports, here's everything else.
It actually sounds like the Madden game this year is actually pretty good.
And I don't know anyone that's talking about it, but like the Madden players usually are kind of quiet. They're
just
quiet
playing
when
their
it's
franchise
good.
against their 12 buddies, and they're just doing their thing.
Yeah, they're buying their Ultimate Team packs and whatnot. The next story, speaking of Baldur's Gate 3, Baldur's Gate 3 is actually coming to Xbox this year. So Larian Studios president confirmed on Twitter last week that he met with Phil Spencer and they were able to come to a compromise to bring Baldur's Gate 3 to Xbox this year. I don't know if we talked about it, but basically Baldur's Gate 3 was being blocked from being released on Xbox because
you can't run on the S.
Yeah, Larian Studios specifically can't get the split screen co-op to run on a Series S, and Xbox has what once was a strict policy saying you need to have the same features across Series S and Series X. But after the success of Baldur's Gate 3, apparently Phil Spencer said they will make an exception, and Baldur's Gate 3 can now launch on Xbox Series S without co-op.
Local co-op.
Local co-op, yeah. So this is like huge news. This is the first break in that defense that Xbox had, or that policy that they had. It sounds like the compromise also will include cross-save or cross-progression across Xbox and Steam, which is a nice little bonus that they added. I'm assuming that feature will come to the other platforms too, because it'd be silly not to.
I think it has it. I think the PC version can go to PS5.
Yeah, but apparently they were touting this as like this is like something that they're allowing. So I don't know if Xbox also had a policy blocking that, but it sounds like that is coming to it. But yeah, this is Dave, do you think this is going to open the floodgates? Because
I do, and I hope it does. Like there's a difference between, like, we know that it's a less powerful console. The S is less powerful than the X. Like that's apparent, that's obvious, that's known to the world. I think that for the most part, people are at this point in time, if they're spending $300 to $500 on a system, they're doing their due diligence to do this, and they understand what they're getting with a $300 console. I think that something like local co-op or split screen not being on the S is fine. This is, again, in my mind, this is very similar to PS4 Pro versus PS4. Like certain things, like it was frame rate, it was, like refresh rate, it was, like graphical fidelity and all that stuff. But I think that a minor feature like that is not a big deal to me.
Yeah, but I would say that is a big feature for a lot of people, in terms of like, because this game does compare to Diablo, for some reasons, and Diablo does allow split screen co-op. So I think it is a big feature that is being dropped, but it's totally understandable why, because like you said, the horsepower just isn't there to handle this. What would you say though? Because we always kind of think about the retail experience because of our backgrounds.
I was gonna get to that. Like it needs to be clear. Like it needs to be very clear that this does not, and that will be hard on a box product. However, at the same time, I'm putting an onus on Microsoft on their store. When you go to purchase this game, there needs to be a pop-up that says, "Hey, you're on a Series S. You want to buy Baldur's Gate 3. It will not do ABC."
In order
it has to say that.
Yeah.
And I don't want this buried in the fine print under read more with a little asterisk and smaller print. Like it needs to pop up on the screen. Says,
just a little warning that says like, so you're aware, if you want online or like offline split screen co-op, you must.
It is not supported on the platform you are currently purchasing this game on.
Here's a link to a Series X.
Well, not even that.
This is something. I was just joking.
Yeah.
How would you feel if, because this is Xbox's policy of like, hey, it needs to have feature parity across most platforms if you want to release on our platform. How would you feel if Xbox is like, okay, we will break that policy for you, whatever dev you are, but you can't have a physical release?
I would be for it.
Okay, yeah, I would be too, just to like knock out the confusion of just like, hey, if you want to not put the dev time into trying to figure this out, you can't release physically because we cannot guarantee the warnings will be able to reach.
Because the other alternative is something that I know you hate and I hate. The other alternative is that you have to make an agreement with these retailers to get a suggested messaging to pop up on the register when they buy it.
Yeah, which
90% of the cashiers bypass it.
Yeah. Like it would.
And
be
for those of
that,
you that are curious what I'm talking about, you scan Baldur's Gate 3, and the cashier would have to say, "Hey, I see you're buying this. Just so you know, it doesn't like split screen doesn't work on the S. Do you have the S? What? No. Can I just buy my game, please?"
No. It would either be that, or they would have to do the thing. I forgot what game I had to do it for, but where like the company would send us stickers, and they're like, "Hey, can you put a sticker on every copy of this game?" And then we'd have to put sticker over a certain spot. Like that happens from time to time. But I think if you're going to work with the developers to let them release a game that's going to be missing features, I think you do need to have some sort of takeaway.
Yeah. But what's the alternative though? To your point though, does that mean no Series X versions in the market at all? Because their boxes just say Xbox Series.
I think that would have to be the compromise. It's just like, hey, if you want to do a physical release for your game and hit it right to audience, features need to be there, because we can't ugly
I feel like
up.
Baldur's Gate is a style of game that you would buy the digital version of anyways.
Yeah, no,
you know?
and that's kind of where Xbox wants to go anyways,
Right.
to get you to only do digital. So I think it would benefit both the
It
studio.
would hurt sales though.
It would hurt sales, but then at that point, you figure out how to get that feature to work. Like,
Right.
like split screen co-op is possible, but it might just take more horsepower. It's either that or you hope Xbox.
Here's a controller expansion pack to give your console more power.
If they can figure out how to get that memory card to have be a RAM expansion, because I think that's what it mostly is. I think it's like the RAM. There just isn't enough for that, because I think everything else can handle that. I think you would basically just have to go to companies and you just be like, hey, you will lose out potential physical sales. If you do not have full features.
Okay, so you're Phil Spencer. You're saying that to me at Larian. Okay, we're good. We're just gonna stay with PS5 and PC. We're good.
I'd be like, okay. Like at that point, you just need to put your foot down. You can't crumble to pressure, like they basically did now. Maybe you throw in of like, hey, we'll cut our royalty fee just a little bit.
Okay.
Just like, hey, we take 12%. We'll take 10%. You give them a little bit if you want to negotiate. But I just think you just have to save the confusion, because Xbox would get a lot of shit if copies went out, and especially when the Series S is a majority
Right.
of the players have the Series S. So you'd have a lot of customers pissed at Xbox, and then Larian would have to deal with the backlash too of like, I bought this game for my console and it doesn't work.
I bought this to play with my wife, and I can't play with my wife.
Yeah. And then it'd be like, well, actually, if you look at the back of the box and define print, there's something that says this feature is not available on Series S. People are still going to buy it and they're going to complain. So like at a certain point, you just have to be like, okay, we just.
Well, I just had an epiphany that somebody probably having in the car as well. Is like, you can't buy Series S games. There's no disc drive.
Oh yeah. Shit. Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
So it's like,
never mind. There we go.
But you can't. But I just like, I So you have to. Damn. Like you have to buy it digitally.
Perfect.
So that's even okay. Going back to square one. That damn pop up needs to be big as hell.
That pop up needs to be there then. Though I still think there's a chance we'll get a disc drive Series S eventually.
No, I think it'll just be like a little thing you could buy. Like
the rumored PS5 one?
Yeah. But I don't know why that took me so long to process, and I was like...
Damn, we wasted like 10 minutes. But if they ever do a disc thing, then they would have to just not do it. Yeah, that's funny. I'm glad you thought about it, because we would have gotten a Twitter comment. We'll probably still get one, because someone's like writing it up as they're listening.
Hey, dumbass, where do you put the disc in the S?
Yeah, there you go. All right.
To be fair, the S is not in my house anymore. I'm not looking at it. Like, I'm a visual person, okay?
Yeah, and I just have the Series X. Do you think they're going to be like locked into the Series S, never having a disc drive? Like when they do like a pro version of it or something?
If they keep making these games, they can't run on it, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, but to your point from 5 minutes ago, they need a pop-up on the store. Dave's just like, I can't.
Oh my god, what's wrong with this?
You know what? It's because it's late, Dave. It's 10 o'clock over your time after a day of work.
All right.
I'm still waiting for someone to tweet at us, and then they get to it. And
It's happening.
Oh, sorry, I just got.
They're gonna tweet at us, and then like 5 minutes later, be like, "My bad."
Yeah, my bad. I just listened to you guys make an idiot out of yourselves.
I got out of my car at work, and like, I was so mad, and then they get back in the car after the work day, like, oh,
they got to that point.
Oh my god! All right, so
no digital card for Baldur's Gate 3 then, because they still sell cards for Xboxes.
Oh my god! All right, what's delayed? You get to talk about it, because like I'm gonna slaughter the first game's name.
Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remastered has been delayed to 2024. It never really had an official 2023 date, but it was supposed to come out winter 2023. It's been delayed to 2024. And then RoboCop has been delayed from September to November. So broke Dave's what is your rule? 90-day rule?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really fucking close.
Yeah, really close.
Broke the 15-day rule or whatever it was.
Yeah, so
It's August 30th.
Those have been delayed, and I guess I forgot the RoboCop game was coming. I got confused with the Starship Troopers game, and then I think there's another old movie that's getting a game.
There's a Terminator 2 game, right?
Yeah, there's a Terminator game coming out next year. That's probably delayed.
All right. So what we're planning on watching, Michael has a review, so I'm going to go first. And because I had the no kid surgery last week.
You didn't tell people what that surgery was,
right? So I'm just saying, So I had the no kid surgery last Thursday, and so lots of ice, lots of like chilling out a little bit. And so I was off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm fine. Everything's going well, by the way. Thank you. But lots of I ended up watching. I just powered through Ballers. Just because I was on the couch, it was something I could watch.
It's funny show name to watch after you had your surgery.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, fine, you went there. So for the record, Ballers is a 30-minute episode, okay? And my exact instructions were 30 minutes of ice on, 30 minutes off, 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off.
Did you say time for Ballers every time you had ice up?
No, I was just like, it was like, oh, episode changed, ice pack change. And then I, on Friday afternoon, Saturday, I started feeling fine, feeling better. And the new season of Destiny came out, and I'm actually, again, having a good time with that. There's some deck building in there, like deck card stuff that I'm still trying to figure out. But overall, the right at the very beginning of a season, the story content's good. There's always something new, or every season they add either whether it's a catalyst for a weapon, new perks, aspects and fragments within the game. And they added this thing for Titans. It's called Banner of War. Like if you get a kill with a melee, you're freaking unkillable for 10 seconds, and you can keep refreshing it, and it's so much fun. Just walking around just smacking the hell out of stuff, and they can't kill me. Even when I try to die in the game, I can't die with this thing on. So that'll, full disclosure, that'll probably last 3 weeks for fun for me, or whatever, depending on however else they're handling their content. Lots of conversation and discussion around the future of Destiny, with they're changing from the seasonal model to the episode model, 3 episodes instead of 4 seasons. So there's a lot of speculation, and they're starting to do their interviews for Final Shape, and as they're trying to obviously get pre-orders going and all that stuff. And there's a lot of questions, and they're being very, very dodgy. Bungie's being very, very dodgy right now. And with Marathon being coming out and being a PvP tactical or extraction style game, the PvP in Destiny is suffering tremendously. The talent that was working on PvP in Destiny is working on Marathon, and then there's this third game floating around in Bungie that we don't know about yet, and we're talking about Marathon next year, and then the new IP the year after that. There's a lot of talk and a lot of conversation about what the future of Destiny is, and Michael's standpoint is let it end.
Yeah.
So, and I'm kind of getting to the point where I might be okay with that too.
At a certain point, you have to treat it like a TV show that is going on for a couple seasons too long.
Yeah. I mean, Owen turned 8 2 weeks ago, and I was playing Destiny before Owen was born.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
And there's nothing wrong with them sunsetting it eventually,
Yep. So, but yeah, Destiny, the Season of the Witch, Destiny 2, Season of the Witch, Ballers, watching some Little League stuff, Little League World Series stuff. That stuff's over. Getting ready, football season starting up, and and it's just kind of that's the point where we're at right now, and it's just kind of chilling there. But overall, I actually played softball last night, so which didn't appear to bother me, and I went back to work on Monday. And today's Wednesday, so that's kind of been my week. So
yeah. Okay. For me, I have 2 games that I'm going to talk about. The first game, I guess it's a review, is a game that me and Sarah ended up buying this past weekend, called Killer Frequency. We bought it on PlayStation, but it's available on Xbox. It's on PC. It's a VR game on MetaQuest, and it's on the Switch. We played a PS5. There's no VR version for it on PS5. But Killer Frequency is a first-person horror adventure game that takes place in the late 80s, where you are a DJ that is in a small town, and there is a serial killer terrorizing the town one late night. So the main like gimmick with this is, since it's a small town, the police force has basically been knocked out, and the 911 operator has to take like the sheriff to the hospital and also potentially go to another town to get help. So the 911 operator has directed all of the 911 calls to you as the local DJ. So you have to help callers basically find a way to escape the killer in real time, because there's no help on the way. The police force is out, the ambulance is out, the fire department's out. So you, as a small town DJ, have to talk people through life and death situations. And the game can get pretty damn intense because there are instances where you have timed prompts that you need to answer a question really quick. And that could be anything from like someone stuck in a maze and you have to tell them run left or right, and you hope they survive.
How many times did you panic and press the wrong button?
Maybe just once, once or twice. On our first playthrough, we got everyone to survive. But there are multiple endings based on how well
Sarah must have been in control then.
We were going back and forth. But it's cool because you do actually get to walk around like your station a little bit, because a caller might call you and they'll tell you their situation, and then they're like, I gotta call you back. Like the person's like in the house or they're in the building that I'm in. And that gives you enough time to walk around the station and potentially find clues that could help. Like there's a big map on one of the walls. So there's someone that, light spoilers, is like locked in a building that's on fire. And since there's no fire department to assist them, you need to look at this map and see if you know anyone that lives close enough to there that they might be able to assist. And based on who you pick could change the outcome for that person. So there's like little things like that where you like have a couple minutes to walk around and try and find stuff. And there's a decent amount of humor in this game because there are instances where you're still like, shit, we got to play an ad. So put the tape in for the ad and you have to listen to the ad, or you have to spin up different records to,
Oh, he's still hosting a radio show?
He's still hosting a radio show.
I got you. Okay.
And a person is still a radio host, so they can be very quippy.
I got to do an ad read. Got to pay some bills.
Basically, yeah. And it's hilarious every time it happens because you do have a producer. It's just you and a producer during this late night shift at the station. So your producer will be like, hey, you have to play that campaign ad. Like
go to break. You're 30 minutes late. You're 3 minutes late for a break. Go to break.
Yeah. You have to deal with that stuff. You have to deal with prank callers as well.
Okay. Wow.
Because there's a murderer running around. There's going to be people just having fun, being a dick, and you're just trying to solve, this mystery of like, who is the serial killer? Who's he going to strike next? And you're doing this all through like just the calls with the voice acting, which is pretty good, and then just trying to piece together ways you can help them by walking around and exploring the station. Overall, it's like a 4 to 5 hour experience, and we played it in one sitting. Like we got really into it, and we were just like, we need to solve this mystery. And then we played it 2 more times. Like we wanted to have the bad ending, and then we wanted to, there's a trophy for a speedrun ending. So we're like, okay, now that we know what to do, let's speed run this and see how far we can get.
How much was this?
This was $25.
Okay.
I think so. It's worth checking out. Again, it's on everything. I am interested in like the VR version on the MetaQuest, just because you are like picking up records, putting them on the turntable.
It kind of gives me a little bit of, just based on how you're talking, a little bit of Stop Talking, Nobody Explodes vibes a little bit from a party standpoint, but not to that extent, where
like
you were using outside sources. Yeah.
Equivalent of
so
that.
Like I really enjoyed playing that, like especially like playing that game with you. Like with you and two or three other people where you're trying to direct somebody. Like, that was kind of fun. And this, like I guess VR would be interesting since it sounds like you're pretty much stationary in the radio station, right?
Yeah. You walk throughout the radio station, but for the most part, you are just at your DJ booth, playing ads, playing records, answering calls. And there's some like interactive stuff that you do when you're walking around.
That's cool.
Because at one point, you need to figure out like if you can track a delivery driver that's been going to a house, but you don't know what driver it is. So then you have to like find menus around the radio station of just like, let's call all of these like food places to see like if their delivery driver went to this location. So there's a lot of the voice acting does add some intensity to it. The timed responses add some intensity to it. So there've been a couple times where we were like, oh shit, you gotta answer this question, and figure it out. But overall, like this game came out in June. Sarah's the one that heard about it, but I didn't hear anyone talking about this game. I don't know if my circle just hadn't played it, but I highly recommend, especially as we get into spooky season, this is a good game to play, and it's on like every platform.
So I know you said you and Sarah played it together. Like, so do you feel like it was easily control shareable, like swappable? Like, here, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn.
Yeah, basically it was like you take this call, I take this call.
Okay,
you know,
that's cool.
And there's some times where you do have to like explore the station, and the station's kind of creepy because it's like 2 a.m. So there's a couple times where she's like, "Can you control the game right here?" Because
that means the game accomplished the environment that it wanted to accomplish. So.
Yeah. You feel uneasy anytime you're not on a phone
awesome.
call. Yeah, so highly recommend this game if you like those sort of experiences. I believe it is reviewing pretty well. I just haven't really heard too many people talking about it. The other game that I got a review code for, Killer Frequency I bought myself, but WrestleQuest I got a review code for, is a like old school RPG from Mega Cat Studios, and it is set in wrestling universe, kind of like it is a
this is a game you put on your fantasy list. You drafted on your fantasy board.
Yes,
didn't you?
yeah, I did. Because it sounded like a cool idea. So it's like an old school like Final Fantasy like RPG, like NES SNES era.
Yeah.
But its gimmick is it takes place in the world of wrestling, more specifically, which is something I guess I didn't pay too much attention to pre-release. It actually kind of takes place in a toy box. So you're like action figure wrestling toys, and you're in this overworld that you can tell the enemies are just other toys that are wrestling like figures, or like,
so it's small soldiers but with wrestlers,
basically. But again, this is like a love letter to wrestling. This is like very focused on wrestling. You play 2 characters primarily, but you do have party members as well that can join in and out. But basically it's these characters that are trying to be the greatest wrestler of all time. They look up to Macho Man Randy Savage, who is very important to the game. And there's a bunch of other wrestlers in this game as well. You have like Diamond Dallas Page, Andre the Giant. You have the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom. And then you also have like influencers like Conrad Thompson, and like a bunch of cameos from other wrestlers, like Jeff Jarrett's in the game. As well as some like Easter egg wrestling.
For the record, as he says these names, he looks like he's gonna barf.
Oh no! It's just like I'm trying to see if Dave knows what some of these wrestlers are. And I know
some of them are, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Diamond Dallas Page and
Andre the Giant, of course, and all that stuff. But yeah, this is at its core a love letter to wrestling. Like every bit of dialogue, every little Easter egg is 100%. You can tell these people loved wrestling and wanted to do something different other than make a traditional wrestling game. And for the most part, I think they did achieve that.
These are RPG players that like to watch wrestling.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Yep. And that sounds amazing to me that they took their 2 passions and made it together into one. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think for the most part they were rather successful. Though I'll talk a little bit more about like some of the shortcomings. But combat is turn-based. It's an overworld RPG sort of scenario where you have an overworld map and different little hubs that you go to with like different biomes and settings. But turn-based combat with party members involved. You have some basic moves that you pick from. You have like basic strike. You have a button called like the gimmick button where your more traditional wrestling moves are in. And then you have like a taunt button that gives you various buffs or debuffs for your opponents. There are a lot of little like timed button prompts in this game, which aren't too bad. They're not super annoying, though there are a lot of them. And if you don't hit the button prompt in time, you do get punished here and there with a little bit of like counterattack sort of thing. Because this takes place in a wrestling world, to defeat most opponents, you still have to pin them. So basically you knock their HP down to where they're knocked down, and then you get to use a pin attack on them that is basically just a timed 1-2-3 thing. So you just have to make sure you hit the button at the right point to get a 1 count, hit the button at the right point to get a 2 count, hit the button at the right point to get a 3 count, which is a cool concept. But I will say, when you're fighting like nobody random enemies that pop up on the map, it's kind of a little bit of an annoying thing to do over and over again. Some enemies you can just knock out and move on, but I felt like a majority of the enemies you were having to do the pin, and if you mistime that, then they get a little bit of HP back and you have to knock them back down. So it gets a little tiresome, especially if you hit areas where you're constantly running into enemies and then having to go into, that separate screen to do the combat, and then you have to pin them and then go back to the regular screen. So that's a little bit annoying. But back to specifically with the combat, you do have party members, and I do like how they, use wrestling terms and passion in like the party member system, to where your opponents can do tag team moves with you. You can have like a bard is basically a manager who like buffs you by taunting, or bragging to the crowd to build up your hype meter so you can build up more, AP, so you can do better moves or bigger moves. So there's a lot to the combat there that is like pretty fun. Though I will say the game does feel like it might be a little too long. Not like crazy long, but again, when you hit those areas where there's like enemies like every couple feet, it feels like the combat can kind of drag, and you're just like, I kind of just want to get through this section as fast as possible to progress the story. But from a overall,
there's always that delicate balance between story and combat. Like, is combat fun and you want to do it? Is it rewarding, or do you want to just get through it to see the next scene?
Yeah, and that, I don't know if there's a good enough balance there, but what pushes you forward, though, if you're a wrestling fan, are finding the next bit of Easter eggs, seeing which wrestler is going to pop up again, especially when, the non-advertised wrestlers pop up, like the wrestlers that aren't on the box art or the store art for it, when you're like, oh, I didn't know this wrestler was in here. That stuff's really cool. All of the writing is, again, a love letter to wrestling. So as a wrestling fan, I think this game was great. I will say, I think the music was a little lackluster. I was kind of hoping for more from the music, but that's like a small knock against the
but
game.
like, what kind of music are you looking for? Like entrance music for some of these people? Like, that's like heavily licensed, right?
No, just something catchy, honestly. Okay. Especially with the throwback stuff, I was hoping for
a little more 8-bitty.
Yeah, something. Like, I don't know what it's missing, but like, there isn't a memorable track for me in the game.
No, it's a valid criticism. I was just kind of curious of what kind of music you expected out of a wrestling RPG.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what I wanted, but I love 8-bit soundtracks. I love old school video game soundtracks, and I didn't listen to anything that I'm like, I'm going to download the soundtrack and like listen to it.
So, it sounds like it'd be a podcast game for you, though.
Potentially, yeah. Though I do want to like read everything and pay a little bit more attention to it.
Okay.
But overall, like, it's a fun game. The only thing I would say against it, if you do not like wrestling, I don't know if there's much here, because the thing that's progressing you through this is just to see which wrestlers pop up, or to see how they like incorporate wrestling terms into the writing and the story. So it's one of those things where if you like wrestling, this game might be perfect for you. If you have no interest in wrestling, I don't think the RPG mechanics are enough to get an RPG fan to play this game.
Very interesting. Okay.
Dave, you could possibly be interested into it, because I feel like it pulls references from wrestlers that you would have known when you probably like casually maybe watched when you were a kid. Mm-hmm. So there's like some stuff in there, like if you like old school wrestling, or you remember old school wrestling from like the 80s and 90s, maybe that would be enough for you to try the game and go through it. But if you're just someone who loves RPGs, I don't know if there's enough there from a gameplay perspective that will, give you the motivation.
So it's a wrestling game that's an RPG, not an RPG with wrestlers.
Correct. Yeah,
okay.
That's like the perfect way to put it for anyone who might be interested in, like, because there are people that just like RPGs, like they want to play every RPG, and I would say the amount of like stuff in this story that is just catered to wrestling fans means this is a wrestling fan only sort of experience, which I know it sounds silly. It's called WrestleQuest. That should be a given, but I know people that like RPGs in general, and I just don't know if it's got enough there for someone who just purely wants it for a gameplay experience. But I do recommend it. Again, I know a lot of people that listen to the show like wrestling, so it's worth checking out for that. And I think it's on everything. My review code was PC. I was interested in playing it on console, but I believe they're waiting on some patches. The game might need a little bit of work on the consoles, and a patch is coming. So it was recommended that I do play it on PC for like the best experience. So my review.
Do you think it's when it potentially gets cleaned up? Do you think this is something that could run on the Switch?
Oh, 100%. Like, I don't see anything like technically challenging. It just seems like this might have been a small team that were having issues with the various consoles that they try to launch on. But the PC seems to be the best experience for the game at this moment. So if you're interested in playing on console, maybe follow the developers to see patch notes and what's going on with that version of the game. But that is all I've been playing and watching.
Okay. All right. Doesn't look like we got any questions this week, so you can please send us those questions using hashtag AskDigitalDays. Again, we do not have to solicit them as soon as you think of it. If I said something about a Series S having a disc and you want to send a question about it, like, please do so. Like, that's fine. I would love to see the PS Plus games that you're playing, like we asked earlier in the show, like 3 games you played in the last 8 months that you got from PS Plus. Just to spark some conversation and some interaction. Other than that, you can follow us on Twitter at Digital Days Pod. You can follow myself at Good Dave Hunt. You can follow Michael at The First MJC. We have a Facebook group. We have a Discord server. We have a Patreon that you can check out as well. And the Discord server is free to join. The Facebook group is free to join. It does ask you have to request access just to keep bots and spammers and hackers out. But for the most part, I feel like I have a decent radar when I click on a profile if it's legit or not. But yeah, please consider joining those and starting those conversations and asking questions. I need to do a better job myself of just popping in and out of Discord and Facebook as well. So, but yeah, let us know. By the time you're listening to this, you potentially are playing Starfield, so please let us know how if you got the early access to Starfield, let us know how you're enjoying that. It's been a pretty hot topic the last couple of months. Reviews are coming out for that this week as well, right when it goes live. So I'm sure that'll just make the console war conundrum just completely fizzle out and just be non-talked about.
The reviews are dropping on Thursday, the day we're talking. So God, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. I was just seeing people complain about people that have access to Starfield and don't have access to Starfield, and people that have Spider-Man now and that don't have Spider-Man, or the consoles, and just watching the jealousy and the haters of people is just hilarious to me. Let people have their moments. Let them reap what they sow and they've earned. So, but yeah, so we'll talk to you guys next week. I hope everyone has fun and keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.